First, I'd like to tell you that this gentleman here used to be a martial artist before.
I
Then go on
used to
Google.
pretend.
So, and it's basically his passion for martial arts, his love for Bruce Lee, finally got him to make a film which is a tribute to Bruce Lee. And what better than to collaborate with the Chinese and make a इंडो चाइना फिल्म. मैं पैन इंडिया तो बताते हैं, वो पैन इंडिया तो मतलब ग्रेट वॉल के पार भी चला गया है. पैन इंडिया एंड पैन चाइना फिल्म. What prompted you to make something like this?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be very difficult for anyone to maybe really understand, because normally any filmmaker will always have a tendency to get influenced by other filmmakers most of the time. Because starting from the classics of the 50s to the 70s to whatever. But I always been influenced by actually Bruce Lee. Because I feel there was also a filmmaker in Bruce Lee apart from him being a martial artist, which is what, in fact, the people have seen my first film, Shiva. Actually, it was a straight copy of a Bruce Lee film called Return of the Dragon. So what I did was, that film, in a nutshell, is Bruce Lee comes from somewhere to Rome, from Hong Kong somewhere, and some goons are teasing this girl, and he fights them. And then at a point of time, because the troublemaker, they ask him to go out, and he forms his own team, and then there's a fight in the end on the Colosseum. So I just removed the restaurant and put a college and made the exact same film, which most people do not know this, you know. So the change of the, setting, but though Nagarjuna is not a martial artist, I actually adopted the technique of shooting action largely from what I studied and understood from Bruce Lee. Then apart from that, Bruce Lee also was a philosopher. He had strong opinions about things and about life, and which is what influenced me a lot. I mean, like many of you will remember when Enter the Dragon released, I mean, there were probably hundreds of martial arts schools and thousands opened all over the world, because Bruce Lee made it seem so easy to do that. But once I started practicing, I realized it's much easier job to become a film director, so let's leave the martial arts alone. But since then, I mean, always it was preying on my mind, and I always wanted to make a martial arts film, but technically speaking, I mean, there aren't much martial artists in India. It's not like a culturally which is popular here. And every once in a while it used to return back to me, this desire to make a martial arts film. And at one point of time I thought it's very difficult to get the Bruce Lee aspect in, and then to take a man, put a man there, and to convince the audience about the impact of it. So then I thought, why not a woman, you know? So then I started hunting at various martial arts schools to send them mails to send me pictures of martial artists. Because one is I need a martial artist, and then somewhere the suitability of the script, and then of course again the presentability in terms of the character. So it's a very tough thing to have the combination, and at a point of time I nearly gave up, and after seeing and auditioning a lot of people. Then by chance in somewhere when I was sitting in a studio, when I was talking about this, a guest of one of the technicians there, he overheard me talking about this, and he told me that there is this girl called Pooja in Pune. He said, I also haven't seen her, but I heard a lot about her, that she's terrific in martial arts. So not really taking it seriously, I told my production people to contact, and then she came along with her father, and then she demonstrated to me in my office, and I was simply blown away. I mean, it took me just 1 second to take that decision. If I make this film, I'll make with her, you know. And then a long process started because she was technically a champion in Taekwondo. And I was very particular about the Bruce Lee style, which is called Jeet Kune Do. And then a long process of training with various people went, and finally, I know that I got the person, then of course, the story. And then to reach, because most of the time we use wire work and actors doing unbelievable stunts like, jumping in the air and hanging out in the air and that kind of a visual things which actors like Tiger Shroff or Vidyut Jamal, these people do. They might know, I'm not saying they don't know martial arts, they know, but they've learned it more for acting purpose, whereas an actor's requirement. So I thought I will do fight sequences which absolutely there is no wire work, like what Rama was saying. And apart from that, I wanted only to do what she can do. There's not a single shot in the film where there's a dupe acting for Pooja. And that creates a very heightened sense of reality. So it's been, and the kind of effort Pooja has put in is something inhuman. I really won't believe if someone else told me about that someone like Pooja can exist and actually do all these stunts herself, being a girl. And it is something for me, even now after working with her, after shooting the fight sequences with her, I'm still in shock. And one more thing I want to share is, I didn't tell you this also, all the fight sequences in the film actually are designed by Pooja Bhalekar, because she's got this martial arts skill, and apart from that, the fact that she's been a passionate follower of films, and so she kind of breathes martial arts, and that to get it to convert it into a film is what the only job I have done. And then once we did some test shoots and all that, I sent the footage to someone in China, and they were zapped to see her perform. And then they came down here and they said, we would like to co-produce the film along with you. And that's when it became Indo-Chinese co-production. It's not like releasing in China. The partner is a Chinese producer called Big People. And then, so here the Indian producer is Rashekar Varma from Artsy Media. And he also is a huge fan of Bruce Lee and Enter the Dragon. So basically, I think a group of Bruce Lee fans are which made this film possible, which includes even Pooja Bhalekar. So after this, I just want to play one making video called India Meets China. Yeah.
महको तो ऐसे महको कि बाहरों में होश आए, ताली बजाओ तो ऐसे बजाओ कि डेब्यूटेंट को जोश आ जाए.
Damn, the AC is really cranked up.
So, how are the butterflies?
They're coming out of my tummy now. It's everywhere.
So, how, he just described how your journey as to how you met him. Yeah. How glad are you that a martial artist is playing a martial artist?
First of all, I want to thank everyone for being here today. It's a very special day for us. We have been working on this film past a very long time, and finally we are releasing our film. And me and RGV sir and the makers of the film, we are really, really proud to present you the Ladki. And I hope that you guys love the film. And so, to answer your question, more than glad, I would love to say that I feel really blessed and really grateful to be here and to be a part of Ladki. I mean, it was sir's dream project. I thought that I'm the biggest fan of Ladki until I met sir. And I mean, we can talk about Bruce Lee for hours and, discuss about his thoughts and way of life. And we have tried to uh, get that essence of Bruce Lee in the film. So let's see.
See, that's been a childhood dream for him.
Yeah.
And he chose you to manifest that on screen. How big a responsibility was that?
It was a really big responsibility for me to perform this role because whatever you're seeing on the screen, so the Pooja Karnik is actually playing RGV sir. So, like how Pooja Karnik is a fangirl of Bruce Lee, in real life, Sir is like that, I guess. I mean, he's the biggest fan of Bruce Lee I've ever seen in my life. And we are just trying to portray what Sir feels about Bruce Lee.
जब वहां की बात कीजिए, मैं आपको अगला सवाल पूछता हूं. ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण सवाल है. आपने इतने सारे नेशनल और इंटरनेशनल टूर्नामेंट्स जीते टाइक्वांडो में, उसके बाद आपने और बहुत सारे मार्शल आर्ट सीखे बिफोर बिकमिंग एन एक्टर. हाउ लॉन्ग वाज योर प्रिपरेशन एंड हाउ लॉन्ग हैज बीन? यू कैन लुक देयर इनटू.
I feel that my preparation for this role wasn't just about, preparing for 2 years, 3 years. I think the journey started the moment I started learning martial arts, and my entire life has been a preparation. That's what I feel. And I hope I have performed at least 10% what Bruce Lee can do. Then I'm really happy if people love it.
तो चलिए हम अब आपको एक और सीक्वेंस दिखाते हैं फिल्म से. पूजा, हम 2 मिनट के लिए नीचे चले जाते हैं और फिर विल बी बैक.
Thank you.
We'll be back for a Q&A. पूजा, आप रोड ऐसे ही क्रॉस करती हैं गाड़ी के ऊपर से?
Not with the given traffic scenario right now.
Okay, can we have the mics to the journalists, please? Yeah, please feel to ask questions. The stage mic is all yours. The questions are all yours.
हेलो. द ट्रेलर लुक अमेजिंग, वो बहुत प्रॉमिसिंग लग रहा है. और जितना भी रामू सर आपने बताया, वो समझ में आता है कि एक औरत की, एक लड़की की कहानी है कि कैसे वो समाज से जीतती है. लेकिन फिर भी मैं थोड़ा सा स्टोरी आइडिया लेना चाहूंगा आपसे. द ट्रेलर इज ऑलवेज द फेस ऑफ द फिल्म, लेकिन उतना नहीं मालूम पड़ रहा है जितना मालूम पड़ना चाहिए. बहुत ज्यादा लड़ाई, बहुत ज्यादा फाइटिंग, बहुत ज्यादा एक्शन सीक्वेंस दिख रहे हैं. प्लीज बताइए इस बारे.
See, basically, I like the question and what you're saying. एक कहानी ऐसा है कि, one is every woman feels defenseless somewhere. She feels victimized by men, right from the college time or whenever she becomes a young girl. Or always we look at them like a weaker sex, in terms of which the word came because they're defenseless. Something happens in her life. I'm talking about now Pooja's character in the film, where a tragedy where she couldn't do anything to help her older sister. So when she sees a film of Bruce Lee, she gets inspired from what he talks and what he feels is necessary. जो भी एक society में जीने के लिए जो भी एक problems होते, to learn self-defense, and she takes it as a dedication. She becomes like a Ekalavya, just watching his documentaries and things. And in the call sequence, at a point of time, she meets a guy, or he gets impressed that he never saw a girl who can do something like this. Or she likes something in him, where even without uska fighting skill nahi, lekin unka ek guts hai, unka ek ye aspect hai. So there's a love story. Initially, he actually loves what she is, but at a point of time, kuch circumstances ke wajah se, he starts hating her obsession for Bruce Lee. And he thinks, in today's time, martial arts, somebody knowing how to punch and kick is an outdated system. If you're pitched against villains with various kinds of weapons, you know. But she has her own, theory about it. So it is like a strange love triangle between her and the boyfriend and Bruce Lee. Because though Bruce Lee is no more, the spirit of Bruce Lee, she's obsessed with it so much that he feels it is wrong for her. In fact, it is going to destroy her. You know? So I would call this film more like a love story against a backdrop of action. Yeah.
पूजा, जब मैं जितना भी हमने देखा वहाँ आपके बहुत दमदार एक्शन नजर आते हैं और जिसमें आप माहिर हैं, आपको उसको समझाने की या बताने की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन एक्टिंग इज अ वेरी सीरियस थिंग टू डू. तो उसके लिए क्या तैयारियां करी हैं? व्हाट वाज द ब्रीफ द मोमेंट यू केम ऑन बोर्ड?
So initially when we started shooting for Ladki, हमने एक्शन सीक्वेंसेस से शूट करना स्टार्ट किया. तो मेरे लिए काफ़ी इजी रहा बिकॉज मार्शल आर्ट्स मेरा बैकग्राउंड था. तो when we started shooting, तो I was pretty much very comfortable in front of the camera. And by the time we started doing all the acting sequences, काफ़ी इजी रहा मेरे लिए बिकॉज सर का एक स्पेसिफिक ब्रीफ था मेरे कैरेक्टर को लेके, दैट पूजा कारने कैसे बात करती है, ऐसे चलती है, उसका एक डिमीनर है. तो उस हिसाब से मैंने परफॉर्म करने के लिए ट्राई किया. एंड सर वाज कॉन्स्टेंटली गाइडिंग मी थ्रू द फिल्म.
सोशल मीडिया पे जिस तरह से कंपैरिजन चल रहा है,
मुझे एक थोड़ा ऐड करनी चाहिए.
प्लीज सर.
See, I basically, acting for me as an experienced director, I always thought of it as expressing an emotion, So when she is training, when I saw her training, I could see the intensity in her body language. उनकी जो आँखों में, even when she imagines that there is an opponent, even if there is no opponent, that technically comes under acting, So if you have the ability to feel an emotion and then you don't have the consciousness of the camera, that is ideal combination for an actor. So like she said, when she was doing the action sequences, she got used to the camera. She was no longer conscious about it. And now she has a natural flair for feeling an emotion. If you see, even in the fight sequences, you can see her face is carrying the emotion. It is not just about her body skill. So that's what I think makes it complete.
मुझे जिस तरह से सोशल मीडिया पे डिस्कशन रहा और सोशल मीडिया में बहुत सी बातें कही गई, जब मैं आपकी इस फिल्म की बात करता हूँ, रंगीला, जैसे हमारे एंकर साहब भी बता रहे थे, आप किस तरह से लेती हैं समबडी लाइक उर्मिला, उससे कंपैरिजन हो जाना, और किसी भी लिहाज से हो कंपैरिजन तो हो रहा है?
Actually, it's really amazing to see how people are, taking the film, like they're comparing it to Rangila. But one thing is to be sure that I can never be Urmila ma'am. Like how in the film I'm trying to do action, how Bruce Lee used to do it. I can never be Urmila ma'am, I can never be Bruce Lee. They are just like very unique creatures. So what I'm trying to do here is just, just showing my love to Bruce Lee and trying to perform accordingly. So when people compare me to Bruce Lee, they call me the Dragon Girl or a Bruce Lee girl. It makes me really happy, yet I try to keep my legs on the ground. So yeah, when people posted Urmila ma'am's picture on social media and they were comparing me to her, I felt really special. I mean, she's beautiful. I would love to be like her someday.
Pooja,
Hi.
welcome to the world of glitz and glamour and coming through Ram Gopal Varma. You are very lucky. Coming at this time, when women like heroines, they are all craving to do action film.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, you are the perfect, you have that perfect persona and you have, whatever we see, you are the perfect match of action and beauty. What do you have to say, about your performances that you've done? And along with action, we can see sex oozing. What do you have to say?
I wasn't like this at all when I met her. I came from a sportsman background. I was a total tomboy girl, if you say. When I met her, when I, performed in front of him, I was wearing tracksuit and I was very underconfident at that time. But the moment we started working on the project and I started to learn that I should look in a certain way, I should wear certain type of clothes and carry a certain demeanor. So I started working on that. I started doing my own makeup and wearing a little bit girly clothes, started wearing earrings. So that change from a sportsman to a heroine, it took a very long time for me, and I worked really hard on it. I worked really hard on my body. Like, as you can see, I'm wearing bikini and all other clothes are also there. So I'm really proud of what we have achieved with the film, and I think we're just overthinking it, like calling it a what did you say? Just the word you used. Yeah, sex posing. I don't think so. That's the point here. We're just trying to empower women. We're just trying to send a message that no matter what clothes you're wearing, whether it's a sari or a bikini or jeans, you should be able to protect yourself. If a scenario like this, comes in your life, you should be you should be able to protect yourself.
Yeah, that's what I meant. You are so presentable. That's what I meant.
To add to that, I mean, because Pooja is facing questions for the first time in her life, I think, so I think maybe she's not able to fully capsulate. Now, I had a long discussions with her in the context of before, Now, interestingly, the fact that Rangila has been mentioned, Now, when I was making Rangila, Urmila also similarly like Pooja, she's come from a very Maharashtrian middle class background, very conservative family. At the time, I told Urmila, see, if there is no such thing, so there's a very age-old thing when journalists ask, does a story demand exposure? But if no story demands anything, first of all, now it's a question, because a film is a visual. How the actor is looking, there's a layer to it, and which is backed by the story. Now, because Urmila has such a fantastic body, now if Rangila, when one of the most memorable visuals in that is when she is running on the beach, I don't think that visual will work without what she's wearing, like a swimsuit or something, So the point when I spoke to Pooja initially, of course, first of all, she's not coming from a film background, she comes from a martial artist background. So I told her, now you've got a body which is so perfect in terms of it's an inspiration. So in the context when a Tiger Shroff or a Hrithik Roshan or a John Abraham or any of them, all the time they're waiting to show off their bodies, And I think it's a double standard to think a woman should not do that, especially when she's in that the same visual art of filmmaking. So I said, if you do it with conviction, you take a pride in what your body is, that will come out as effective. Because most of the time you're scared of your peers, what they will think, what somebody will say, what somebody will point out. You know, that comes as hardness. Like even in Rangila, I remember my mother, when we used to see Singing in the Rain, those kind of films, so she was used to enjoy it. A lot of the girls are wearing bikinis and all that. But she just likes the feel. So I told Urmila from the same context. But in those days, if you look at some of these Sarkailo Khatyala kind of song, where the lyrics and the dance moves are designed to kind of make it look vulgar. Maybe for some section of audience. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. But when you feel it's beautiful, it will come across beautiful and people connect to the emotion, you know. So, for example, whatever you saw just now, I would think if she's not wearing clothes like that, the precision of her movements and her control of her body will not be the same if she's wearing track pants or some karate dress, for example. Yeah.
Pooja, have you started getting offers after watching the trailers? Because the trailer is looking really very enlightening and it shows you in a very powerful role, you know.
I am getting a couple of offers right now, but I'm choosing every script very, very carefully because I want to do, like in the beginning at least, I want to do action films and the role should be pivotal. I mean, there should be something strong about that role that it should inspire people, I feel that. So I'm choosing script very carefully right now, ma'am.
Yeah.
No, I don't ever do that, but I definitely am going to make Ladki 2 for sure. Again, the same companies, all of them together, where all the script work is also done. And the fact, one is I love Bruce Lee, and then I love to see the beautiful body of a woman in front of my camera more than anything else. So in both ways, I think Ladki 2 is on the cards.
Yeah. RGV sir, yeah. The title Ladki is very intriguing. What was it that you chose this title? Because there's no adjective, you know. Matlab,
Yeah. The reason
second question after this, what is it that the Chinese people found fascinating when you sent them the footage to?
See, I will tell two things. I mean, there's two parts to your question. The first part is because in the script there are 3-4 characters. When they first hear about Pooja, like Abhimanyu Singh, Rajpal Yadav, they keep saying, Ladki? Ek ladki ne kya? What are you saying? You know? So the shock that a woman can do what you expect from a man. In fact, there's a very typical scene in the beginning of the film where I did just a role reversal. You've seen hundreds of films where when some goons are teasing a girl and a guy comes to in her defense. I just did the same scene with the role reversal where the guy is being teased and the girl comes to rescue him. You know? So what all you typically think a ladki cannot do, or there's no way it can happen, which is the reason I thought it would be ironically to call ladki. You know, so in my, it's not like ladki, it's ladki. That is how I pronounce it in my mind, and you know, that might not come in the, just you see the logo. To answer your second part, see, one part is that, why did the Chinese get so excited seeing her? And second part is like, it's a shock to us. It's releasing in 40,000, more than 40,000 screens in China on the same day, you know. The nearest I can explain that is when we saw Bruce Lee in India, to see a Chinese face suddenly coming, I think it seemed so exotic because we never saw anything like that. I don't think if Enter the Dragon, with the same martial art technique, maybe a black or an American or someone, I don't know if it will have the same impact. So I think to see an Indian face doing what they are experts. See, martial arts are born in China. Bruce Lee came from there, Jackie Chan, all of them, Donnie Yen, at least 4 to 5 of the top martial artists, they came from China. So I think they find it very exotic to see Indian face doing. I mean, they feel that even if you search on Google, if you go to the many famous female martial artist films which was made in China, like the High Kick Girl, there are quite a few of them, and they felt none of them matched to Pooja's skill. That is the main thing. You can check out for yourself, in a sense. So I think a combination of an exotic face which doesn't belong to them, but she is doing something probably better than their actors there at the moment. I think this is the combination which worked.
I have a question for Ramu. Yeah. Ramu, basically speaking, whether you agree or not, you are a trendsetter in the sense you used to make raw films with newcomers in the lead, and also you were one of the first filmmakers who dubbed films in Tamil, Telugu and other languages long before the pan-India term was discovered. So how do you feel now that every film made in South is becoming a pan-India film which is being dubbed in 5, 6, 7 languages?
See, to start with, I think, like typically as Indians, we want to just come up with a term and label. If you remember maybe some 20 years back, when Meera Nair's film became a big hit, Monsoon Wedding, they started calling crossover films. We always want to put a name, So, see, eventually, if Hollywood films are released all over the world, but they don't call it a pan-world film. That's a typical Indian mentality, If you remember, even in the time of when the gentleman, that Prabhudeva film, Hamse Mukabla and all that, whichever is a big film, used to come and run here also in Hindi. So for a short period that happened, maybe 3-4 years or something. There was instances when something like a Hum Aapke Kaun or a Maine Pyar Kiya were dubbed in South, in Telugu and Tamil language, which worked. But what happened recently is the numbers have become so big that they overtook Hindi collections. That is where the shock is. So, the satellite market or the so-called Hindi dubbing market, which was always very big for many, many years. But people had this mental block, both in North and South, was sirf satellite mein chalti hai. So they never even bothered to check if it will work, if you release it in the theater. So they thought they're getting a handsome chunk of money, chalo Hindi dubbing mein bhej do. But they got a shock of their life with Pushpas and KGF 2 and RRR and all this. So I think now it is a time, especially because of the OTT, any good content can be put anywhere. Because if people are watching Malayalam films on OTT and sitting in Bombay, or Korean films, so the whole world is at your disposal. So then a theatrical release is just about your capacity and your own vision of whether it can do well or not. I think that change has come now, very suddenly, and it took everybody by surprise. A lot of people have this misconception that Bollywood is shocked about this, but actually South is equally shocked. It is not true that only Bollywood, because I think now Kannada industry, for example, we were not aware of its existence. Nobody in Andhra Pradesh sees a Kannada film, AP and Telangana, or in Tamil Nadu. And now that became the highest grossing Hindi film. A dubbed Hindi film is highest grosser of Indian cinema, is something which could have never thought of in your life. Yeah.
And one question for Pooja.
Yes, sir.
पूजा आडनाव तुमचं कार्णिक आहे म्हणजे मराठी तुमचं मदर टंग आहे पण आता मराठीमध्ये ऑफर मिळाला तर करणार काय?
Naki, sir. Why not? I mean, Marathi is like, I've seen a lot of Marathi films and I would really love to do it. अगर कोई अच्छी film, अच्छी script हो तो क्यों नहीं?
And what did you like as far as Ram Gopal Varma's direction is concerned? Because he has a unique, different directorial style.
I think what he has done with Pooja Karnik's character, it's just gonna stick with me for the rest of my life. And Pooja Karnik and Ladki holds a very special place in my heart. So, जो पूजा कार्निक का कैरेक्टर है वो हमेशा मेरे लिए बहुत बहुत ही स्पेशल रहेगा.
रामू सर, आपकी ये फिल्म चीन में भी रिलीज होने वाली है, तो वहाँ की ऑडियंस की पसंद नापसंद को ध्यान रख के कहानी में कुछ आपने बदलाव या तो कुछ ऐड किया?
No, not
और
at all.
दूसरी बात, क्या गाने भी होंगे वहाँ के वर्जन में?
Yes, they are there. See, पहली बात ये है कि the basic point of the story being, of course, right from the beginning, she wants to improve her training, and she looks for, then she hears of this one grand old master who's expert in Jeet Kundo. That's where the Chinese character came into the film, And then there is a thing, the fact that she's obsessed with Bruce Lee. Her boyfriend takes her to Foshan City as a gift to her. And that's where the highest, highest statue of Bruce Lee is there in the world, like you would have seen in the trailer. So I think the element of she going there to the native place of Bruce Lee as a big emotional high, that is one part. And the fact her teacher is a Chinese grandmaster who teaches her Jeet Kune Do, the Bruce Lee style. These are the two reasons, but they were always there in the script. I didn't make any changes because the Chinese production was involved. Yeah.
Pooja, in real life, did you have a situation where somebody referred to you as Ladki and then you showed them that you are a super girl Ladki? मतलब ऐसा कुछ situation हुआ है आपके real life में?
Almost. I was going somewhere with my mom and एक कोई बंदा आया and he was on the bike. तो उन्होंने कुछ कमेंट किया मेरी मॉम के ऊपर एंड मैं बहुत गुस्सा हो गई एंड आई स्टार्टेड रनिंग बिहाइंड हिम एंड वो बाइक पे थे तो आई ऑलमोस्ट गॉट हिम एंड देन ही जस्ट स्लिप्ड अवे सो आई विश नॉट विश आई एम हैप्पी कि ऐसा कोई सिचुएशन मेरे ऊपर नहीं आया अभी तक एंड किसी और लड़की के ऊपर भी ना आया आई विश फॉर दैट
रामू सर
Yes.
जहाँ आज इंडस्ट्री में बड़े फिल्मकार नए मतलब बड़े लोगों को लेके फिल्म बनाना ज़्यादा पसंद करते हैं नामचीन कलाकारों को वहीं आप नए कलाकारों के साथ दाव लगाते हैं ऐसा क्यों?
See, I technically make genre films. I don't make films which have this large base, where with big stars, they have images and they have to cater to a large number of diverse kind of audiences. Right from my first film, I always made, when we take new people, they look believable, they look relatable. So if you take a movie like Satya, you actually believe that they were there in that slum. If the moment you take known people, their past films images will come into their characters, and the believability quotient keeps going lesser and lesser. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. That is what many filmmakers believe. But I like to get them immersed in the story and believing the existence of this character in real time. That is where I have a tendency to take new people.
एक क्वेश्चन और सर आप सेक्स और क्राइम से बाहर निकलकर कभी सोशल मुद्दों पर फिल्म क्यों नहीं बनाते?
सेक्स और क्या?
क्राइम
मैं सेक्स पे कहाँ फिल्म बनाए हुए? अभी आप ये बताओ अभी एक.
मोस्टली फिल्में आपकी सर बहुत
I
बोल्ड होती
see,
हैं.
the point is beauty and sex are different. Please understand. Maybe you don't like women, I don't know, but I think okay, sir. Now the question is already answered. If everybody clap means they don't have a problem. So you have a problem. Okay. Now coming to the crime part. See, I definitely do not like normal people and normal people's life stories. I want dramatic, I want intensity, I want the darkness, like a horror or a gangster or like you said, a crime drama. I definitely have an affinity for that. But at the same time, I made films like Rangila, which is a love story. I made Daud, which is a caper film, like a light-hearted adventure. And I made Sarkar, which is a political drama, which is not really the gangster thing. So I think I may be the only guy who probably put my finger in every kind of film. It is not like a stuck to one thing.
रामू सर, आपकी फिल्म का समंदर भी एक लोकेशन होता है, समंदर का एक कैरेक्टर होता है, तो समंदर से कोई खास लगाओ, उसकी कोई वजह?
Not on the samandar, but girls in bikinis in samandar. I have. So I used to have that right from my college days. I went to Goa for a trip. I think it stuck from there. Who will watch water, sir?
I think both, because in a real life also I'm a very lovey-dovey person. I believe in love. I believe in action, so I got to perform both the things. So it was really fun for me to manage that. I was really uncomfortable when I was performing the action, because I was trying hard not to injure anybody. Like all the what you say fighters were there, and I was trying not to hit them very hard. So that was the only difficult part. Was there romance was easy, and action was much more easy than anything else.
See, I remember Amitabh Bachchan told in one interview, I was also there, he said, whatever people when they say that we are not getting the opportunity, I think he said something like, you can't really put a good man down, So the whole point is, I think, if I've been a filmmaker for an X amount of time, I was also a nobody when I first started. So I think the responsibility is on me to convince somebody that my content is worth putting. Because a film is a very expensive business to make it, to release it. And there are different people. Theater का एक अलग perspective होता है. Distributors का अलग होता है. Investors का अलग होता है. Actors का. Everyone has their own interest. So I think like water finds its own balance. So eventually, in a competitive world, agar 1,000 people try, probably one person will make it, But the 999 people not making it, that is their fate. I'm not saying that. But I think when you're venturing into that kind of a business, you have to, be prepared to take that kind of a backlash, But every once in a while, you always have seen like some film comes who's not backed by anybody big, any big camp or whatever those things are called. The big lesson for everyone is Kashmiri Files, for example. A film of that budget and without any big names backing it, if it has done that, that itself is proving your point wrong. Because, okay, it happens very less number of times. I'm not saying no to that. But I think it's a function of how the business aspect of the industry functions. Yeah.
Hello.
हॅलो पूजा
Hi.
दिस इज प्रवीणा फ्रॉम नवराष्ट्र मीडिया
Hi, Pravina.
तू खूप सुंदर दिसतेस. पहिले तर तुला सांगणार आहे मी,
Thank you.
तू या मूवीमध्ये बोल्ड आणि ब्युटिफुल कॅरेक्टर प्ले केलेला आहेस. म्हणजे तू प्रूव्ह केलं की मुलींचे हात फक्त बांगड्या घालण्यासाठी नाही, वेळ आली तर त्याचा वापर मारण्यासाठी पण होऊ शकतो.
नक्की.
सो मला सांग की बिंग अ वुमन व्हॉट इज द बिगेस्ट स्ट्रेंथ, तू काय शिकलेस या मूवीमधून?
माझं जे कॅरेक्टर आहे या फिल्ममध्ये पूजा कार्णिकचं, ते खूप स्ट्रॉंग आणि खूप खूप पॉवरफुल. आय मीन शी नोज वॉट शी इज डुइंग. शी नोज what decision is to be made. तो फिल्म में जैसे दिखाया गया है, सॉरी इफ यू वॉन्ट मी टू आन्सर इन मराठी आय विल डू दॅट. तर मूवीमध्ये पण जे माझं कॅरेक्टर आहे ते खूप स्ट्रॉंग दाखवलं आहे. आणि कुठेतरी असं माझी अशी इच्छा आहे की जे मूवीमध्ये मी पोर्ट्रे केलं आहे तेच मी कॅरी ऑन करू शकते की नाही इन माय लाईफ. तर तोच माझा प्रयत्न आहे. आणि माझी इच्छा आहे की पूजा कार्णिक नेहमी माझ्यामध्ये असावी. जे पण मी डिसिजन घेते लाईफमध्ये, जे काही आय एम ट्राईंग टू परफॉर्म एनिथिंग, सो आय वॉन्ट टू कॅरी ऑन दॅट कॅरेक्टर फॉरवर्ड in my life.
Hi, this is Sohail here. On your right, Ramuji. Yeah. The first one. Yeah. Hi. Congratulations. Just needed to know that there are lots of people who say कि Ram Gopal Varma का charm अभी नहीं रहा, the way it used to be, and now he's become little sunky also, like ऐसे sunky हो गए actually. और तो how do you take this thing, and आप इसके बारे में क्या कहना चाहोगे?
In this particular interview, did you ever hear anything me saying Sanki something? So that, okay. So which
I'm
means,
just talking in
no,
general.
I understand. That's okay, yeah. So see, I have a very strong opinions on things, and I use my Twitter to say anything what I feel, and that is the whole point of having a Twitter. If you don't say that, why have it? See, if I am talking to someone in person, and if I'm talking to my followers, that's an internal communication between us. And if anyone thinks I'm sunky, he can unfollow. He doesn't need to bear with me. So as long as we have that freedom, yeah, that is one point. So with regard to what, I mean, everyone has an opinion on everyone. So the point is, I don't have time to think about people who have the time to think about me. Yeah.
But you are not taking lots of pangas, like, previously you never used to be that
I
way.
never take
I mean to
panga.
say,
Even
बहुत, industry में बहुत सारे लोगों से आप पंगा ले रहे हो आप, actually, ऐसा हो गया है.
So
Comment करते हो.
tell me a single thing. Give me one single example. I express my opinion of something happening on the public domain,
Correct. Yeah,
not on a person.
Yeah, that's your total.
And I never took a panga with anyone. Yeah.
राहुल जी इसको ऐसे भी कह सकते हैं क्योंकि आपकी जो शुरुआती फिल्में रही हैं, आपकी फिल्में देख के हमने आपको बहुत प्यार किया, और जब किसी को बहुत प्यार
कब से नफरत करना शुरू किया? Okay, fine. Okay.
हमने आपको बहुत प्यार किया, और फिर जब प्यार किसी से हो जाता है तो उसका अगर कोई कम हो जाए काम या क्योंकि उम्मीद बढ़ जाती है तो फिर हमें कम लगने लगता है. तो इसको इस तरीके से देख सकते हैं कि पिछले एक दशक से जिस तरीके का आपका नाम रहा है, आपकी फिल्मों की जो छोटे छोटे शहरों में चर्चा होती थी, आपके नाम पे फिल्म देखने जाते थे, वो कहीं ना कहीं धूमिल होता गया. क्या इससे रामगोपाल वर्मा ऐसा ब्रांड भी कहीं धूमिल में आपको लगता है? बॉलीवुड में आपकी फिल्में पैसा कमा लेती हैं, आपने बताया था बात में.
But I'm not very sure. See, you are giving an opinion of what people are saying. So what do you want me to say about that? My reaction on that. No, that I understood. So I'm saying you want me to give my analysis of that. Yeah. See, the point is, I always maintain, see, after whether I make a horror film, then after Satya became a blockbuster, I did a film called Kaun, which is shot in 15 days. I always kept jumping from film to film, which all of them worked for the budget I made. I never ever said I want to make a big film and whatever the commercial blockbusters and all that. So that is not in the space I am. So after that, before that, when the social media was not there, so active, so they took it the way it is. Now the social media, everybody has a mouth and everybody says, "Arey, ye kya ho gaya? Isko ye sanki ho gaya? ये ऐसा film क्यों बना रहा है? ये तो अभी sex और crime बना रहे जैसे आपने कहा." So all this is happening on a resound because of the social media is what I feel. Yeah.
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन है. सर जब आप इस फिल्म के लिए काम कर रहे थे, स्क्रिप्ट बना रहे थे या फिल्म को कर रहे थे, तो जिस तरीके से अभी OTT भी प्लेटफॉर्म काफ़ी हावी हो चुका है बॉलीवुड पर, तो आपने कभी सोचा था कि इस लड़की का मैं OTT बनाऊँ ना एक बॉलीवुड मूवी बनाकर?
See, point here, OTT is just one more device. See, there is no such thing as OTT and theatre. Theatre का function है इसलिए कि because the rentals of theatres and publicity aspect एक ज़्यादा होगा. Other than that, I don't see, because whether you want to release on OTT or this or satellite or some other way, I think it is decision of the makers. आज की डेट आप बहुत सारे टाइम आप ये भी देख रहे हैं कि all of them can happen at the same time or some in a staggered release it can happen. So I don't, आज के डेट में मेरे ख्याल से OTT और थिएटर का कुछ absolutely there is no difference.
रामू जी, this film is an Indo-Chinese production, तो हम जहाँ पर चाइनीज को बैन करने की बात कर रहे हैं, वहाँ पर आप चाइनीज के साथ कोलैबोरेशन और चाइनीज लेकर आ रहे हो, तो इस पर पब्लिक की क्या प्रतिक्रिया रहेगी?
See, the point is, एक political aspect होती है. Politically, what the two governments are feeling is different, and cinema is about art. Martial arts is an art. Bruce Lee is someone who's loved all over the world. Just because there's a temporary, sometimes a problem happens, because even those problems you don't know, एक दिन होते, अगले हफ्ते निकल जाते, फिर वापस आते. That is how it happens. They sound more like squabbles to me. But when we are not making a political statement in the film, then I think problems with the country should not affect what is not related to it.
But revenue system works in that thing, na? Matlab, when it's an Indo-Chinese production.
No, revenue
so-
system works based on the principles of China, or what they do there. I mean, in terms of the kind of system, what they operate, which obviously we have to go by the law of the land, and the same thing here.
Okay. Thank you so much. Can we have some pictures, photo ops? Yeah.